Welcome back to Miss Eddie's Math Movies, where it's a cute to be a square. Today we are doing lesson 1.6, which is all about measuring angles. Before we talk about angles, we need to make sure we understand all the vocabulary for it. So an angle is two rays, which are the sides of the angle, that have the same endpoint. And that endpoint is called the vertex. So I'll draw you a picture so this makes a little bit more sense. So we've got two rays that are coming from the same spot. And this spot right here, that's the vertex. And then these rays are the sides of the angle. To measure an angle, we use degrees. So it's really how open the angle is. The size of the angle measured in degrees. You've heard this word congruent before. Previously, we had congruent segments, which were segments that have the same length. So congruent angles are angles that have the same measure or the same degree. And once again, this is the congruent sign. You should also note for measure, we use an M for measure, and we'll do some examples of that. An acute angle is an angle that's smaller. We call it acute. It's less than 90 degrees. But it has to be bigger than 0. We're not going to use negative angles in this class. So the angle is between 0 and 90. So here's an example. It's not as wide. It's not open very much. A right angle is an angle that equals 90 degrees. And these are seen all over, especially in construction. Everything's at a right angle. The wall to the floor, door frames, etc. And we put a little box in here to show that that's 90 degrees. An obtuse angle is bigger than 90, but it has to be less than 180 degrees. So it's between 90 and 180. It's a little bit more wide open. See this nice wide opening. And then a straight angle is an angle that equals 180 degrees. So that looks just there. Notice we have a vertex in each one. Kind of think of the vertex as the elbow of the angle. All right, now let's try some examples. Naming the angles. All right, to name angles, we usually use 3 points. Sometimes you can just use 1 point or 3 points. It just depends. But you always put the vertex in the middle. Maybe make a note of that. Vertex in the middle. So the vertex is the elbow. So Q is always going to go in the middle. And I'm going to get a couple different colors here. See if I can show you the difference. So let's talk about this angle right here, this small angle. I'm going to color it in red. You can see that. That angle, Q always goes in the middle, is PQS. Notice Q is right in the middle. PQS. Or we could call this angle SQP. SQP. Q, P. But notice Q is always in the middle. Let's go to the next angle. I'll do this one in blue. Here's another small angle, this angle right here. And we could say it's SQR, or we could say angle RQS. But once again, the elbow of the angle, the vertex of the angle is in the middle. Then you might be wondering, what other angle do we have here? We have the large angle. There's two small angles here. And then we also have this outside larger angle, which I have in purple. We could call this PQR or angle RQP, but Q is always in the middle. Why should you not name the angles angle Q? Notice if you said angle Q, we wouldn't know which angle you were talking about because there's 3 different angles that use Q. We wouldn't know which angle to use, or which angle you were naming, since there are 3 of them. But here's an example on this checkpoint where we could just use one letter. We could just use the vertex. Up here I said sometimes we can use one point. We could just call this angle S, because I know what angle we're talking about. It's only this angle. But we can't do that here because we've got one angle here, one angle here, and one angle here. So we have to use 3 letters there. So I'll do this one. There's this small angle here, angle HMK. There's this small angle here, angle KMN. Notice M's always in the middle. And then there's the large angle, this one out here, angle HMN. All right, I want you to try this on your own. Do number 3 now, and we'll go over that in class. We're going to learn how to use a protractor in class as well. So you can skip example 2 and go on to the next page. Classify each angle. Well, these are words that we just learned. We learned the words acute, right, obtuse, and straight. Those are our options for classifying angles. So this little M here stands for measure. The measure of angle A is 130. If you need to go back to your vocab, go ahead. This is obtuse. Because if you remember, obtuse has to be between 90 and 180, and 130 is right in between. Angle B is 90 degrees. That is right. And angle C, the measure of angle C is 45. That's less than 90, which is acute. I guess no straight angles in this. All right, you're going to skip this follow-up. But I then want you to use these 4 words to do these problems now. Classify those angles using these 4 words. The next postulate, remember postulate just means rule. The next rule we're learning is angle addition, which means you can add 2 smaller angles together to get the whole thing. So if we take this small angle, and we add this small angle to it, we get the entire large angle. We're going to do the sum. We're going to do small angle plus small angle equals the whole angle. So small angle is RSP. The other small angle is PST. And then the large angle, the measure of angle RST. That's the large angle. All right, last page. All right, compare and contrast the angle addition postulate with the segment addition. Well, they're alike because they're both using addition. Each time they're doing little plus little equals the big. How are they different? Well, one's using angles and one's using segments. All right. Example 4. Find the measure of angle PTM. Okay, so let's go to P, then T, then M. We need to find this whole angle. So I'm going to draw an arc between those two purple lines. I need to find that whole thing. Well, angle addition tells me that I can add the two smaller angles together. I can take angle PTN and I can add angle NTM, and that will give me the large angle. So we just said little plus little equals big. And this little one is 30, and this is 40, and together the large angle has to be 70 degrees, which is acute still. All right, checkpoint. You need to find the measure of angle ABC. Measure of angle ABC. So this whole angle. This whole angle. Go ahead and do those now. But this one I want to do with you because it's a little bit trickier. Look where ABC is now. ABC is right here. And they're telling you that the whole angle is 135. And we already have 60. So what are we missing? That arc here, maybe write yourself a note, that arc means the whole angle. That whole angle. I guess we don't really need this mark right here. We already have an arrow. That whole angle is 135. This side is 60. So 60 plus what is 135? That is going to be 75. All right, if you haven't already, do these last two problems on your own. This is M Cubed, signing out.